Hello Year 11 and welcome back to your geography lessons. I hope you've had a restful half term. We are now moving on to topic 7, which is the first topic in paper 3 called People and the Biosphere. So in this we're going to be looking at the importance of global biomes and the importance of the biosphere to humans. So you might be thinking, I'm not sure what the biosphere is, I'm not sure what biomes are, but hopefully that will all become clear. Now for your lessons this half term, it's slightly different. We're going to give you a series of tasks to complete, but we're also then going to ask you specifically to submit 1 or 2 main tasks. So you're not required to submit every single task in this lesson, but you will need to complete them and have them in your notes in order to help you with the main task that you're being asked to complete. So today you have a starter quiz, which you're then going to revisit as the plenary that we'd like you to complete. I'd also like you to complete a keyword matchup on slide 4, and then the task that you're going to submit is the worksheet, which is a Word document attached to Satchel One that you can complete on Word, or you can complete it on paper if you would rather. So we will begin then with thinking about what our learning objectives are for this lesson and to try and get an understanding of how much you already know about some of this topic. You probably will recognise some of the terms and some of the content from your biology lessons, so that is fantastic, but we need to make sure you understand and can identify the world's major biomes. You also need to be able to describe the distribution, so where they are, and the key characteristics of key biomes around the world. And you need to be able to start to explain why biomes are distributed in this way. So your starter is to try and answer these 8 questions. So I don't mind if you don't know the answers at all. I don't mind if you go away and pause this video and research all of these different answers. I don't mind how you go about this, but this is really to get you to start thinking about some of these terms that you're going to need to know. So you can see the first question there is, what is latitude? Where is the equator? What happens to temperatures on Earth as you move further away from the equator? What is an ecosystem? Where are tropical rainforests found? Give an example of a country with a tropical rainforest. In the UK, do we have tropical rainforest, deciduous forests, or coniferous forests? And what is the difference between climate and temperature? So like I said, you might not know all of these right now, but hopefully by the end of the lesson, when you revisit these in the plenary, you'll have a better understanding and will be able to add to some of your answers. So a key word here that is going to be really important is biosphere. So obviously this unit is called People and the Biosphere, so it's really important that you know what the biosphere is. So it is the layer of Earth where life exists. It's as simple as that. So it can be down into the soil where insects and the roots of plants can survive, all the way up to the highest tree on Earth, and obviously that's where we also have living things in the tallest trees in the rainforest. So anywhere between a few meters down into the soil and 50 meters up into the sky where the tallest trees are, that is our biosphere. So here we have your next task, which is a keyword matchup. So these are 4 really important key terms that you do need to know. So you're going to need to make sure you read through each of the definitions and write these down in your notes. Now, they might be quite new words to you, so I'll just go through a couple of aspects that will help you. An ecosystem can be as small as a tiny part in a park. It could be underneath a rock, it could be a small pond, it can be a really small area, as long as it is somewhere where you have living things and non-living things that are interacting. For example, anywhere that has plants and animals that are interacting with water and the climate and soil. Soil, water and the climate are our non-living components, but they will interact with the living things in order to make them survive. So that is what an ecosystem is. It's any kind of interaction between those living things and non-living things, whereas a biome is a large-scale global ecosystem such as the desert or the rainforest. Now again, we have two other key terms here, which are biotic and abiotic. Whenever we look at the word bio or biome or biosphere, biology, we're thinking about living things. So biotic has those same first three letters. So bio would mean living things. So any of the living things within an ecosystem. So hopefully those few little bits of information will help you now go through all of those keywords and write out the correct definition. Another aspect of this unit that you do need to understand before we move on is the idea of longitude and latitude. Latitude is a really, really important part of understanding where world biomes are. So this is a map of all of the world's different biomes. So you can see that they are largely influenced, not solely influenced, but largely influenced by latitude. So the latitude is the distance away from the equator. So we have the equator that runs through the middle of the earth, that dark black line that runs through the middle of the continent of Africa, and it runs through the top of South America and then through Indonesia and Southeast Asia. So what we can see is that through the equator we have this specific biome of the tropical rainforest. So this here, okay, is our equator. So there we have the equator, and we know that the rainforest runs pretty much through and maybe 5 degrees north and south of the equator. So the latitude is the distance away from the equator, and the further away you get from the equator, the colder the temperatures become. This is where, on the equator, is where most of the sun's solar radiation is concentrated. So we have most of the sun's heat energy focus along the equator and also at the tropics. So again, here we have got the Tropic of Cancer, and at the bottom in the southern hemisphere we have the Tropic of Capricorn. And along the side of this, so on the right hand side of this slide, we also have got the different biomes and where they would be located. So we've got the rainforest that starts closest to the equator, followed by the deserts, followed by the temperate grassland or the savanna as well, deciduous forests, coniferous forests, and then finally the tundra. So we're going to be using this information in order to help you complete the rest of today's lesson. And here we have those different very important parts of the Earth now labelled for you. So we have the equator, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. So today what you're going to do is you are going to complete the worksheet. It's a Word document. It's attached to your work on Satchel One. So make sure you open that and can access it. If you're struggling anyway, make sure you also contact your class teacher. And you're going to work through this worksheet, and we'll do the first 3 together to try and give some information about the different biomes around the world. So the first biome I'd like to start with is the taiga. This is also known as the boreal forest and also known as the coniferous forest. So this biome in particular has 3 different names, and you can see that it's located in this green area that is displayed on the map of the world, and some of the countries that have a lot of taiga or coniferous forest are Canada and Russia. So we have taiga is found in Asia, it's found in Europe, and it's found in North America too. So what you'll do on your worksheet is you'll say what continent they're found in. You'll say what hemisphere they're found in. Are they in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere? And also you'll say whether or not they're close to the equator. So hopefully you can see here that the taiga, or this coniferous forest, you can see in the pictures what it might look like, a bit like Christmas trees. This is what it will look like. It will be full of those Christmas type trees, and the types of animals that you'll find there and the types of vegetation you find there will be largely like the ones you can see in the picture. So you'll find bears. You won't have lots and lots of animals because it's a very cold, very harsh environment. So in kind of contrast to the rainforest, which has lots and lots and lots of biodiversity, loads of animals and plants, the taiga, this coniferous forest, has a lot lower biodiversity because it is such a difficult environment to survive in. So what you'll do is you'll go through and you will describe the location. You'll give some examples of countries that have this biome. You'll also write down some notes on the climate based on the information on the slide after this. And you will also write down some information on vegetation. So there are some copies of the pages in the book further along in this PowerPoint that gives you all of the information you need. So for the coniferous forest, hopefully you understand that the continents that can be found in are North America, Europe and Asia. It's in the northern hemisphere and they are far away from the equator, between about 50 and 80 degrees north. The reason that these environments, these biomes, are not found in the southern hemisphere are because there is not land at 80 degrees north in the southern hemisphere. Actually, it's mostly just ocean. So then the second biome that you're going to be completing are the deciduous forests. Now these are what we have in this country. So if you can imagine, maybe if you've ever been to Epping Forest or any trees in this country that lose their leaves, they are known as deciduous forests. And what I'd like you to do is the same thing. So you can see here the deciduous forests are clearly labelled. They are found in the USA, so again the continent of North America. They're found in Europe, especially in the UK. We have a lot of deciduous forests and deciduous woodland, and they're also found in Japan. So again, you're going to do the same thing. You can use the information, you can use the maps from the book, you can use the maps on this slide, and you can write down where they're found, again in the northern hemisphere, and a few smaller areas, okay, are also found in the southern hemisphere, so right at the southern tip of South America and also on the east coast of Australia and in New Zealand. So again, write down what continents they're found in, whether they're in the northern and southern hemisphere, whether or not they're close or far away from the equator, and then the country examples, information about the climate, and then eventually the vegetation. So these are all of this information, like I said, can be found on slides later on in this PowerPoint that I will bring to your attention. And then the next one that we'll just do together finally is the tropical rainforest. So you do exactly the same thing and we think about whether they're found in the northern or southern hemisphere. So hopefully you can see here they're found in both northern and southern hemispheres. You can see that they're found on a lot of different continents. So they're found on the African continent, in South and North America, also in Asia and also in Oceania or Australasia. So there are a lot of different continents that you will find rainforests in. Look at how the environment is different. Are they close or far from the equator? What is the climate like and what types of vegetation are found there? And then you're going to complete the rest of the worksheet on your own, and you can use any information from this PowerPoint, and you can also have a look at this. So the next 3 slides have got information from page 246 and 247 from the textbook. So what I would like you to do is I'd like you to work through this worksheet. Again, if you for whatever reason can't access the Word document, you can complete it on the PowerPoint, or you can do this by hand and submit a photograph. But just so you are aware, this is the only task that you are required to submit to your teacher this week. All of the other tasks we would expect you to complete, but they do not have to be submitted. So that's to try and keep things a little bit more simplified for you. Of course, you're welcome to submit everything if you wish, but this is just to make you aware that this task is the only one that you are required to submit this week. So what I'd like you to do is read through the information on this slide. Look at this map, which shows you the climate of different biomes around the world. So it's showing you the different climate, the climate graphs. Obviously, with a climate graph, we've got the bar chart showing rainfall and the red line graph showing temperature. And then finally, this is the piece of information that's going to help you also finish off your climate characteristics in your worksheet and your vegetation information, making sure you're looking carefully at the order here. So the order of the biomes is slightly different to the order on your worksheet, so just don't get yourself confused. So read all of this information and try and input it in your own words into the rest of the worksheet. And then you can just end with having another go at these questions. So go back to the questions that you tried to answer at the start and see if you can add anything to it. You might now know a little bit more about what latitude is, or where the equator is, or what we have in the UK. Do we have tropical rainforest, deciduous forests where the trees lose their leaves, or coniferous forests which are like the Christmas trees? So have a little think, see if you can add anything more to your answers and see if you've made any progress. And just a final reminder of what you're submitting, remembering that we would expect you to complete all of the tasks, but the main task that you're going to submit this week is the worksheet, the Word document, and you're going to complete that using all of the slides from this lesson, but especially between slides 6 and 12. I hope that has all made sense to you. Next week we will be looking at in more detail about why different biomes are found in different locations, and we'll explore the idea of latitude, but also other factors too.